So welcome back to obviously Fight Talk, and we are now joined by one of the hottest prospects in MMA and Bellator.
Yeah, absolutely.
AJ McKee Jr. joins us. AJ, thanks for taking the time to come on to obviously Fight Talk.
Thanks for having me.
AJ, you're coming off a highlight reel knockout at the last Bellator show. Everywhere you look now, all last week, everywhere I seem to look was the highlight from Bellator 178. Have you found you're getting a lot more attention since that knockout?
Yeah, a little bit. You know, it kind of just went viral. It was on ESPN, World Star, and Sports Center Top 10. So it's just kind of getting around, which is kind of good for me.
We'd be familiar as you were over here with Anthony Taylor as well when you were cornering Anthony. So we seen you a lot here on the likes of Talking Brawl, Severe MMA, stuff like that. The lads that interviewing you were jumping in with interviews. But with Bellator, I know we were speaking that you were looking at Pitbull next. That was the idea. You were calling him out after the show. You were sort of saying originally you were after Strauss because he was the man, he had the belt. Now it's Pitbull. Is that still the idea?
Yeah, that's the goal, man. He's got that gold belt around his waist, so that's who I want. You know, I'm always shooting for that belt. That's the overall achievement. You know, that's the goal that everybody wants. So why do I want to fight anybody else besides the person with that belt?
You spoke after the fight about possibly wanting to go on to London or the New York card. Is that still a possibility? Have you had any talks with Bellator?
If something happens, yeah, man, I'm open to it. I'm ready to go. So if someone falls out, I'm ready to fill in.
But has there been any discussion with Bellator now? Just more of it if someone falls out?
Yeah, the card's pretty booked from what I've heard.
Yeah. And another guy on your radar, and of course we'll talk a little bit about James because that's the big news, I suppose, and it's the big interest over in Ireland. He had a couple of words for you after his or on the MMA Hour. I believe it was yesterday.
Our sister
podcast, yeah, good friends. Did you manage to hear the interview we had with Ariel?
I had no clue.
No clue.
There's a few interesting quotes from it that we have there as well. But like a lot of people as well, like obviously two of you guys, these are similar in so many ways. These are both young, hot prospects, so people are going to talk. But altercations have happened with the two of you as well, and let's be honest, you've had a good bit of back and forth, and for the fans, it's quite interesting as well. Yeah. But like from your end, where did this come about? Because James has spoken about it, and you've spoken about it. From your side, there's a few stories that have come out. What's your side of where this argument has come from with yourself and James?
When he had his little beef with Anthony at his gym, he walked up to me and he was like, "You're next, pussy." And I was like, I told him, I was like, "You're gonna regret those words." So we were a little cool since then, and there was no real beef there yet. And then next thing you know, he's calling me a pussy on national television, and that's when you put fuel to the fire, you know. That's
well,
when I
like
went all in.
well, what we've noticed as well here, like James gets a lot of limelight, especially like being so young, signed with Bellator, that a lot of fighters are saying his name to almost get their name out there, if you know what I mean. So was that the idea in a way, as much as you're a young hot prospect as well in Bellator, was that sort of an idea for you? Was it a strategical argument from you to go, let's talk about James, it'll get us noticed and talked about on the likes of here we are?
No, because I don't feel like I gained anything from beating him, you know? Just to show that, okay, I am the hottest prospect. But honestly, in my eyes, I don't even feel that I'm a prospect. I feel I'm a contender. So it's like, I feel I've already stepped past that, you know? But it's the level of disrespect where that line's just been crossed, you know? Once you cross that line, you got to get your ass whooped. You got to get your ass whooped.
What about the story, AJ, about that you went and spoke to James and you told him about Anthony Taylor's game plan for the fight? Is there any truth in that?
That's some more bullshit because it was me, Anthony was in the room, and my other teammate, Red. We had just came back from a pub, and we were walking in, and literally our rooms were directly across from each other. So yeah, we were in the room, we were talking about McGregor, but the bullshit with Anthony, I don't know where that came from.
again, is this you're saying, and I know James has said it too. He was quoted as well on the MMA Hour last night. He was basically saying, look, he doesn't focus on anybody else except who's in front of him. And like what you're saying, he wants a shot at the gold as well. So the two of you are almost singing from the same hymn sheet. But this fight, for me, it does make sense. I can appreciate you're saying, you feel a fight with Gallagher wouldn't gain you. In some way, I have to disagree with that, because James is the big guy here in Europe that Bellator are selling. So if you were to slay that beast, if you know what I mean, that puts you as the big name who beat Gallagher.
Yeah, I feel like it's giving the people what they want.
Yeah. Do you feel it's more of a, I suppose it's squash the beef and maybe just get a bit of more of a name rather than a fight that actually makes sense in terms of getting closer to a title? Do you feel it's more of a name matchup?
Yeah, more of a name matchup for sure. Just because James, he's like McGregor. All you Irish fans, you guys are faithful. He has a country behind him versus the American people. They just want to be with who's hot and who's on top. So that's the difference. Everyone, I feel the true MMA fans want to see him lose because they feel he's trying to copy McGregor, which I feel he does do a lot of copying McGregor as well. But at the end of the day, you have to be your own person. So, yeah, it is what it is. I'm ready to fight whenever. He said he wanted to fight me, called me a pussy on national television. Yet he goes and signs a contract to fight someone else, and then I go get a knockout, and now he's talking about he doesn't want to fight me. He wants to fight Pitbull. I'm like, okay.
There was a lot of talk about contracts and possible matchups between yourselves. Was there ever a contract in place to actually have a fight, or was it more of let's set something up?
No, that's why I'd always tell him, ask for the contract, sign the contract, James. You're talking all this trash, sign the contract.
And speaking of your time over here in Ireland, did you have a good time over here? Would you like to maybe fight over here the next time Bellator come back?
Oh yeah, man, Ireland's amazing. Can't wait to go back.
What did you get up to? Anything fun over here?
Yeah, me and Wanderlei, we were going out, walking around, hanging out. We went to a couple different pubs, couple different clubs. It was an amazing place. I can't wait to go back. I actually wanted to take my girl out there.
Is that one of the reasons why you spoke about wanting to maybe get on the London card, because it's so close to here, and obviously you'd have kind of similar type fans? You have that kind of rabid fan base as well in the UK.
I actually didn't really care to fight on the London card. The only reason why I wanted to fight on the London card was because Slice is fighting on the London card as well. So I felt if I'm already going out there, I might as well just hop on the card with him.
And one of the things you brought up in a few of your interviews recently was your motivation going into fights and your motivation in the gym. You've been doing this for so long, and maybe you're getting a little bit bored in the fights and in the gym. What brought that on? Was it just because you were doing it for such a long time and you were getting opponents that didn't really interest you? Or what exactly brought that on, the kind of boredom that you had with the sport?
It was just training every day, every night, training month after month after month. And it's like you finish somebody in 2 minutes and then you go back to the gym to train for another 2-3 months for a fight that you're finishing in 2 minutes. It's like you're going to get bored, It's like you want to go be a normal 21, 22-year-old. You want to go hang out with your friends. You want to go party. You want to get out, So it's like just training all the time. It gets irritating and you get bored.
So what changed that? What changed in you that you said your focus has been realigned now? So what was the factor in changing that?
I would say just seeing what's ahead, and how close honestly my goals to being achieved are. They're literally 2-3 fights away if I want them to be.
And do you think that you're still flying a little bit under the radar? Because we obviously talked about James and he's getting a big push with Bellator. And you're 8-0, I believe, in Bellator now at the moment. You basically started your pro career there. Do you think you're still flying slightly under the radar and maybe you should be getting a little bit more attention? Especially like you have great lineage with your father as well, being a great fighter. Do you think you're flying still a little bit under the radar?
A little bit. Just because the last name McKee, if you're not a true MMA fan, you really don't know who Antonio McKee is. But the true MMA fans do know.
Something that will you be at Bellator or having a historic card, obviously in New York? I know you were saying you want to get on that, but if you're not on it, will you be in attendance?
Oh yeah, I'll definitely be there. I haven't been in New York, so I'm looking forward to seeing what that Times Square is like.
And with Bellator, in relation to them, obviously, you know, the divide is still there where, you know, we're talking about real MMA fans and casual fans. And, you know, obviously the casual fans see the 3 letters of the UFC and think that's where it's at. But from you being the 21, 22-year-old guy plying your trade in Bellator, is that the right place for you? Do you eventually see yourself making the move to the UFC, or are you happy at Bellator?
At the moment, I'm happy at Bellator, man. They give me what I want. They look out for me, and they're really about their fighters, you know. Bellator's taken care of me since day one, so I really don't look forward to going anywhere else.
Have you noticed a difference since like Scott Coker's been around? Obviously, he's changed a couple of things. They've changed the format of the shows, and they've brought in a lot of big names. Have you noticed that difference even backstage?
A little bit, yeah. I've noticed the difference of the fighters. Everyone's super cool though, you know. All the fighters are real friendly. Everybody's happy. Everyone walks around. You can literally, if something's going wrong, you can ask anyone from Bellator, and they'll figure it out for you and try to get on top of it. So it's like a home to me, you know. It's where I started. It's where I've been, and it's where I plan on staying.
I sort of get the feeling from you as well, especially from the stories you heard about over here in Dublin as well. Like, you seem like a real approachable, friendly guy, and, you know, outside of it, yeah, if we're not keen to fight one another, there's no reason why we can't have a laugh, have a joke with another. But when it comes to stepping into the cage and getting the door closed, that's where business comes. Would it be right in thinking that you don't need to hate your opponent as much? I'm sure you're sick of hearing the name James Gallagher at the minute, but do you find, like, are you the type of guy that doesn't need to hate his opponent? You can get on with everyone, but when the cage door does, it's business time?
Exactly, man. I'm such a friendly guy, so it's like I sit there and laugh. You know, he gets mad and lets me get under his skin, but I feel like I'm picking on my little brother. You know, I'm just doing this all day, getting under his skin, and he just gets so upset, and like I just love to do it. You know, but so it's comedy to me.
If from a fighting aspect, do you respect the skills?
Of course, you have to respect any fighter, man. Once you step in that cage, a fight's a fight. All it takes is one punch, one kick, and the fight is over, you know? So it doesn't matter if I'm fighting my little sister, you know? It's a fight. Anything can happen at any time.
So you've nothing lined up at the moment, but realistically, what's in store 2017? Where do you want to be by the time we're all singing Happy New Year to one another? Where are you going to be? Where are you going to feature on the roster and on the rankings?
Ooh, top 3. By the end of this year, I want to be top 3, getting ready to make that title run, you know. 2017, I got until April. John Jones was the youngest champ ever at 23. I'm 22, so come April, I'll be 23. So I got until then. I got a little bit over 9 months to get in there and get that title around my waist.
And before we let you go, we'll have to ask you about your father as well, because you did speak a bit about getting on the same card as him, and you did say recently as well that it still could happen. Right now, what's the biggest blocker in that? Why can't it happen right now in Bellator? What's the problem? Why won't Scott Coker just put the card on?
I think maybe it was just because of my last couple fights, you know. They weren't. I just didn't seem there, you know. Even with as a business aspect of my last fight, not the knockout, but the one before that, I wouldn't have put myself on that New York card fighting 3-5s the way I did. You know, it's not good for the entertainment industry of it. And yeah, now that I'm back on track, getting knockouts and hungry again, I don't see why we can't have that fight happen, father and son, and break some more history records within the next couple of fights.
Excellent. One quick question I asked, because you said it in your last fight, you'll either knock him out in the first or choke him out in the second. Which do you prefer? Do you prefer turning the lights off with a KO, or do you like getting that feeling of him tapping and giving up to you?
Nah, I love making the people go crazy when you get a good knockout, you know? It's what the people want. It's kind of it's like a supply and demand, you know? The people give Bellator what they want, and Bellator gives you what they want, you know? So supply and demand, you make the people happy, the people make Bellator happy, Bellator makes you happy.
you may be very right, and we're Irish and we get behind our fighters, and you know we really do. We obviously are fans of James here with him being an Irishman, but we're also fans of your work, the what you do. You're such a young guy. I'm glad to hear you say you refocused and you're chasing the belt. When you give yourself a target, that's the best thing. And I look forward to looking at your run at that belt. And at 22 years of age, we got years ahead of watching you, and I look forward to watching them fights.
Thank you very much, man. Thanks for having me, and I look forward to putting on a great show for you guys when that fight happens.
Thanks a lot, man.
Thanks again. Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, thanks. Have a good one.